Good morning and welcome to a new segment of Life University's Life Church. This is your life host, the Reverend Dr. Donicia Palmer Wallace. Welcome, 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 welcome. We have made it through to today. So I just want to open up my arms, open up my heart, open up my soul and my mouth and give praise, give thanks to life that we are here, that you're here, and for all the goodness that we have experienced throughout the past week. Of course, there has been difficulties and crisis around us, but we can surely give thanks at this point, at this junction in time, that we are here today. And I am just hoping that you will grab some gem from these words that will totally just bring healing, bring life and vitality, not only to your life today, but to last throughout the week to come. May there be something that we can chew on, because sometimes we hear things and it goes through one ear and it goes out the other. But I pray that you would find some gem that will stick with you throughout the coming week that will be of value to your life. Okay, I'm going to get straight in. I'm going to sing a little chorus, and as usual, it's 4 lines. It says, looking through the windows of my soul, all is very well. Looking through the windows of my soul, all is very well. There is peace everywhere. There is love in the air. Looking through the windows of my soul. Looking through the windows of my soul. Join me. All is very well. Looking through the windows of my soul. All is very well. Why? There is love in the air. There is peace everywhere. Looking through the windows of my soul. Okay, take notice to the words, not so much the voice. Well, we're going to continue on the theme of the secret art of learning to trust. And so we did a part 1 on just the baby step, the first steps into learning to trust. And remember, the trust I'm talking about is not the trust from one human to another human, because we are encased in matter that changes with decay. You don't believe me? You look in the mirror. You get a photograph of what you were even 3 years ago, moreover 20 years ago, or even if you're 5, you look at your photograph when you were born and you realize that you have lived many bodies, many lives. And so our temporal um, encasing tends to change. Not only that, but environment we live in, our society is constantly changing. And so we do not put our trust or our confidence in that which is outer, but we put our trust in life, because we can trust life. And that was what I was bringing you to think of last week. And so we think about that first step and we think about trust. And as we are stepping into that area of trust, we said that was the area of beauty. And as we get deeper, so that was just the first step into trusting. But as we go deeper into trust, because it is from beauty that trust comes forth. And so we are going to, and then from this point, we will begin to release our healing. That ability to trust life will bring healing that will sustain our physical form, that will sustain our minds, that will sustain our relationships. Oh, this is a wonderful realm we are looking at today. If you're joining me for the first time, these words are Fresh Thought Life Words. That means they're given in the moment, for the moment, for this season, for this week, for this day. Fresh Thought Life Words. And so, as we are talking about the second part two of trust, all to do with our minds, all to do with our thinking, healing words, healing thoughts. Healing thoughts produce healing words. Healing words produce healing feelings. Healing feelings produce healing, produce health, produce the absolute trust. And so the message today is sort of broken down in two parts. It's the second part of trust. And the second part of trust is learning to use the tool of our thought. And your thought is healing, not just for yourself, but for the world. And so we're able then, through this method of our thoughts, to see life clearly so that we can trust life. And as we begin to trust life, life for what life is, you can call life God. As you begin to trust life for who life is, for what life is in you, you begin to trust yourself. And that is where it begins. We cannot trust life sometimes because we cannot trust ourselves. But as we begin to trust life, that will enable us to trust ourselves. Then we'll be able to understand the oneness of life that is also in another. So it's not that we're going to now begin to trust another, one human to another, but we begin to trust it from the knowing point, the knowingness that life, that one glorious, magnificent, beautiful, absolute life, the same that lives me, lives him. So I'm going to draw on the life that is good within that person. And as I see that, as I center in on that, as I major in on that, as I prioritize that fact over the misbehavior and the wrongness, then I would have shifted my focus, my attention on the truth that goodness, life is good, and there is goodness all around. I begin to see the good. And so what it does, it transmutes and it transforms. It shifts, it transmutes, and it transforms. So today, talking about trust, I'm going to pull us into this, that we need healing thoughts. So this is probably my most serious segment today since we've finished. It's fresh, it's pertinent, and it is life words. These are lives to bless you, to heal you, to transform, to renew you in this now moment. We do not want to be, to renew what was. So when I say renew, most people that says renew, that they're talking about renewing what they had. But if you renew what you had, that didn't work, wasn't absolutely working for you, or maybe it worked then, but remember, we have moved on, so it's not going to work now. So when I talk about renewing, I'm talking about making brand new, as if brand new in this now moment. Okay? We want a makeover. So when I'm talking about, to be renewed, I'm talking about a makeover by the living words of life. And these are living life words today. Words of life that must be activated in the soul. You see, we can hear a lot of things. We can turn our TV on, we can go in, talk to friends, listen to the news, but those words don't activate the life in our soul. But life words, words of life, is activated where? In the soul. And that's where we are talking about. That's the point of trust. That's where the trust. Until we can trust from the soul, And the only thing we can trust from the soul is life itself. So therefore, this makeover is to renew, is to renew being ourselves, is the new being of ourselves, how we were ordained, how we were supposed to be. Yes, we came in the world coded with special codes in our soul, but over time, those codes did not get activated. But I pray that there'll be something today that would have already activated you. For instance, that little chorus says, looking from the windows of my soul. As we begin to look from our soul, trust from our soul, we do not trust the things that is passing around us. This too will pass. All this virus and all this fear will pass. So we do not look to that, but look through our soul. There is peace everywhere. There is love in the air, looking through the windows of our soul. And today I invite you to your soul. Today I want to address the subject on the matter of healing thoughts. Healing thoughts which would cause us to trust, what should build trust. First, I need to ask a question, and this is going to be a quick question. Then I'm going to ask another question that will transmute this question. Could it be that it was such horrible thoughts, such repugnant thoughts for a vaccine in the time of pandemic that attracted the mayhem that we are facing today? And before that thought can form around the question, I will propose another thought to transmute and pull your attention into this now moment of possibility. Possibility in a world where that there is no disease, that we can be liberated from fear, where men and women and children use their thoughts to create healing for themselves instead of fear, instead of the fear now of building vaccines to keep us healthy. Can we imagine? Can we use our thoughts? Can we bring healing into our world by creating creative thoughts about a world where men, women, and children are using their thoughts to create healing and healing themselves? So that instead of having a pandemic of sickness, we have a pandemic of health, love, peace, rest, joy, abundance, safety in our world. This is the liberation that the earth needs right now. The earth is crying out for this type of healing thoughts. But it cannot happen until individuals, till we have a whole global healing thought that sees a world like this, that is thinking that it is possible, that their thoughts is into their psyche, and it moves from the psyche from their soul into their thoughts, from their thoughts into their mind, from their mind into their feelings. They begin to feel it. They're feeling the healing. They're creating healing within themselves. Do you know, I have often, I don't use personal things because this is fresh thought, but there have been times where sickness have tried to ravage my body, and I've had to see my body whole. I've had to feel my body whole. I've had to trust the life and go deep into my soul, go deep into those areas and connect with the code that says, all is well, I am well. And then I would voice that, and that voice would take action, and I would be well. Oh, for healing thoughts. This is going deeper into the realm of trust. We're coming very close to the end of this segment. As I said, it was going to be very short. Have you ever had a quick thought, just something like, oh, just you were coming, I'll give you an example. I was coming up the steps, and the thought, it just came into my mind. I was carrying a tray, and There was, I mean, the tray did not touch anything. And a thought just, I mean, it just flew across my mind. Wow, I'm glad this soup did not fall on my carpet. You know, I've got white carpet. I'm just so glad. Why? There was no indication. Quickly, because of practice, and that is why we need our spiritual practice. We need our meditation. We need to read inspirational words. We need to read the scriptures. We need to pray. We need to practice. We need to develop our innermost being. And I call that soul health. We need to educate ourselves so that we can live from our soul and have soul health. And when your soul is thriving, oh, your thoughts is pure and your actions are made whole. So I had this quick flash. And what I had to do immediately, because of practice, I had to transmute that thought immediately. Because if we do not, you know, we say, there's a saying, you can't stop the birds from flying over, but you can stop them from making their nest or from pitching on your head. And it is the same way. Sometimes we have flash thoughts. It's like we see a man coming up the road and he might look very angry and he's got something in his hand, and a quick thought crosses our mind. Oh my goodness, I hope he's not going to, and you just have a quick thing about him hitting you or hitting someone. And you have to transmute that thought, because if you don't, that thought is somewhere. You've ignored it. It's not happened. But believe me, it is there and it's around and it's seeking some way to get it done. And I have seen it many, many times where a flash thought have come, and then I might have had a phone call or I had to rush out. And do you know, coming back in or while I was out, the very thing that I didn't want happened because I did not be responsible for it. Have you ever had a flash thought? Oh, I don't want this to happen. Do you know there was a man called Job? And, or before I come to Job, or not just a flash thought, have you ever said or heard people say, oh, yes, I knew that would happen. And that thing that you say, I knew that it would happen, about something that you didn't like, something you didn't like or something they didn't like. They said, I knew it would happen. Why? Because they were thinking it. Somehow it had flashed across their mind and it was there. It was in the air and it needed to connect. It needed to fulfill itself. So thoughts are flying around from probably deceased thoughts I can't tell you where they come from, but they're looking for an opening. So we've got to guard our minds. That is why scripture have told us, it is written, guard your mind, renew your mind every day, wash your mind in your meditation and in your scriptures and in your prayers with good words. So we never have to say, I hope this doesn't happen to me again. Now, there was a man called Job, and this is what he said. He had his um, children turned against him, his wife told him to curse God. Um, you know, his animals were diseased and dying. And there were so many things happening to this man. He was a very wealthy man, and all his things were dying off. But you know, he had a faith, and he had his friends. Now this is interesting. He had his friends, but his friends kept coming around and telling him, you know, you weren't good enough. And sometimes this is what comes to us, these negative thoughts parading in our minds, so that we can't, we seem impossible. It seems impossible to see a world where we can heal ourselves, because our mind is not at that level. Our consciousness, some people are still unconscious. It's just like blah, what's going on? And some, in our not so consciousness, we are just looking at things around. If you're not properly consciously aware, then anything is liable to happen, and that is what brings fear. But when you meditate on the right word, the true words, when you meditate the word, when you pray, when you allow yourself to see life and appreciate life and allow the goodness of life to be the place where you live from, to be the place that you look at, where you live from, where you look at, and what begin to happen? Your soul begin to stir from this place, and healing begin to flow. And because of what you see, that is what you speak. And so you begin to, from your thoughts of healing, begin to speak words of healing. You are feeling. Now, what you are feeling creates a vibration which attracts a frequency. Life has a potent frequency of goodness that we can trust. Fear generates a low frequency, no trust. That means no hope. That means destitution. That means worry, anger, agitation, anxiety, depression. But as we begin to allow our soul to bring forth those healing thoughts, they create feelings, good feelings, possibility. I am well, all is well. You begin to have a sense of wellness. Oh, yes, there's pain in the wrist. It's on the out, in the flesh. But the life that lives that arm, that moves that arm. Oh, that life is vibrant and is health. And so we begin to draw from that place of what we see, what we are thinking, and we begin to feel it. And as we begin to feel it, we are emanating, carrying out a vibration which attracts that frequency of wellness. And so when you do this for the first time, it builds a level of trust where you have experienced life working for you. And so there is more, but I will end here. I will close here. I did say it was going to be short, and I can see that we are near the 25 minutes. We have gone twice our length for our segment. So all I can say at this point is life bless us. In this season, let us trust life. Let us curb our thoughts by not allowing negative thoughts. I'm not saying they will not come. I'm not saying really scary thoughts, horrible thoughts will knock on your door, will press into you. And if you have allowed a little bit of thought, do not let it go past 5 seconds. You can use these words. I transmute these not good thoughts, because I don't say bad, because what is right and good is what life supports. So if you would say, I transmute right now that which is not right, or these no, not right, or these wrong thoughts, or and no good, okay, these thoughts that is no good and not right, I transmute them and baptize them good and right. And so what you do in that moment, you have taken back your mind, you have transmuted and you have taken back your mind into the zone of good and right. And when you're in the zone of good and right, you are then empowered to trust life and create more healing thoughts, not just for yourself, a better self, but for a better world. My prayer this week is that you will have a fulfilling day today and a fulfilling week to come. Replay this segment so that you might get a full understanding out of it, because it was long. And the reason I do not do longer normally than 12 to 20 minutes is so that you can remember the words, because when we do a long sermon, sometimes we forget. I do not want to play on your ego or on your emotions today, but just to say, life bless you. You have the power to heal yourself, because the life that lives you is the life of God. Bless you. Thank you for listening. This is your life host. If you've forgotten, this is your life host, the Reverend Dr. Tonisia Palmer Wallace, and same time next week, Sunday, here on Life University's Life Church. Have a great and a wonderful, healthy week.